Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Hoyt, Heumann Tree Saws, Lone Wolf Tree Stands, Nikon, Ozonics, Redneck Blinds, RTP Outdoors, Spot Hog Releases, Wasp Archery, Viking Solutions, and Realtree.
All right, it's October 24th, and I'm excited to be back on Mike and I's farm. This is the first time I've been on the farm in a month and a half, 2 months, due to the flooding. So I came here early, check it out. Brad and I drove around, put up a few cameras. Overall, it's drying out pretty good. The water's receded back within the banks, and it's starting to dry out here. Deer have moved back in pretty good. It seems like saw a lot of tracks, so I'm hoping we'll see some deer tonight. I've had 0 cameras on here for the last, I don't know how many weeks, but because of the flooding, we had to pull our cameras, so I have no idea what's on this farm. And for that reason, we're gonna go to an observation stand tonight, just a spot where we can see a long ways. And it's a big sycamore tree and doesn't have a lot of cover on it, so we cut some cover we're gonna take in with us and hang 2 lone wolves and see what happens. It's a pretty good evening, fairly cool, and it's October 24th, so getting that late October time frame, and you never know. But I'm excited. No knowledge, no nothing. Makes for an exciting hunt, so we're gonna go get set up. It's about 4 o'clock right now, and we're all set up. I like this spot. It's a tree I've never hunted before, but you can see forever. I mean, you can see the entire central part of our farm basically, which is perfect for tonight. That's all we want. We have no prior knowledge other than last year's hunts, and I'm sure with all the standing water still, there's going to be a little bit different deer movement tonight, but I don't expect to see a lot of deer. I don't know how many moved back in here, but there's definitely some. We just got done hanging these stands, and obviously we were quiet enough because the deer just stood up about 100 yards away out of the grass. So it's pretty cool. Our wind right now, we have an east-southeast wind blowing back, and it's still flooded back behind us. So we have a great wind advantage tonight, and I have a feeling I'll be doing a lot of glassing tonight, just as much as we can see. Oh, and some good news. The old canoe is still alive. I know Josh has been worried to death that thing washed away in the flood, but we found it piled up in some trees back here on our way in, so the canoe is still alive and ready to go for November. We'll see what happens tonight. I'm looking forward to the hunt. Dude, she's got a giant tumor right on her vitals. Yeah, she does. He's got some funky brow tines going on. Both his brows are split, I think. Well, it's 5 o'clock now, and the afternoon or evening's off to a really good start. We've only been set up for really about an hour, and we're pushing 10 deer already. I was just getting ready to do an interview, and 2 more does stepped out. But just before that, we had I would say maybe a 3-year-old, maybe a 4-year-old buck. Looked like he was broken off. We had some pretty funky brow tines, split brows. He chasing her in the beans. It was pretty cool to see. They worked off where we can't see them anymore, but there's one doe kind of working our way this way. They're just coming up out of the willows, and there's another one quite a ways away. It looked like it came out of the timber, but it's good to see this much movement because, like I said earlier, we had no idea what to expect, how many deer had moved back in the property. It's looking good so far. This is a cool spot. All right, we weren't able to do a closing interview in the stand just because we had some does around us, but overall a good night. They're moving early and often, and there's a period about 45 minutes to an hour where there really wasn't any movement, and then it picked up right at dark again. But just felt good to be back on the farm again after having not been able to be here because of the flood for so long. Good to see good deer movement, and Brad and I are going to hunt in the morning, not on this farm, but a farm down the road. And then we might come back here for tomorrow afternoon's hunt. I think the timing's right. I think it's just any day now we're going to see a good buck out looking for that first hot doe. So excited to see what tomorrow brings.